Can hear me now. Good afternoon, everybody. I want to start by saying I want to apologize for not being online for a very long time. Uh, it's been ups and down. So today I'm going to be talking about the proposed 3 billion Lagos State Rail construction, which will be starting by December. The first phase is to cover between Marina CMS to Epe. Because the first phase we cut across the Shongotedo, the Abramadation, and the second phase also will be going towards the Lekki Deep Support, the Lekki Free Trade Zone, and it's a big um, investment milestone. So I want to start by saying a very big thank you to everybody who have reached out to me in the course of the week. Some actually said, "You've not come online for quite a long time. I hope you're fine." Well, I am fine, but once in a while, it is very good that you observe, the necessary rest. So, in case you are coming across this, please do well to share this video. Call your friends, call your family, tell them that we are live and we are kicking. So, I was going very quickly into the what we have for today. The moment we have people join this live stream. Of course, I'm expecting people to join. I know I've not been around for a very long time, so I apologize. So please share this with friends, family. Let them join this live stream so that we can be part of it. So there's a lot to say today, and before I go into this, so today's section is going to have a part B, part A, part B. And I will also be going live on Facebook as well. So we're going to be discussing three important factors about the Lagos rail construction. What's going to be the impact on real estate? Now, the first thing I would like to talk about before we even go further into the conversation, basically, is that I will be explaining some things that every real estate investor needs to understand. um, I will be going and explaining some fundamental things. Now, I tagged it the Lagos State Rail construction. Is it a blessing or a curse? And the reason why I'm having this important conversation basically is to explain what you should expect. And I'll be giving a professional point of view. And I'll also be explaining some things that you may not understand about this. And in the course of this conversation, I would also try as much as I can to explain the disadvantages. Now, despite the fact that everybody is celebrating that Lagos is going to have a rail, it's not just going to be on the mainland. There's an extension of that rail network, which is starting from Marina CMS. It's going to pass through Lekki Phase 1. It's going all the way to Victoria Island. It's going to cut across Ajah. It's going to go across Sangotedo, Abidjan, and it's going all the way to Epe. This obviously is a great news. It's something that is worth celebrating, and obviously it is also something that we can, say that Lagos of our dream, okay, is coming into reality. The mega city plan. However, it is also important for us to examine what could be the consequences, because you see, when we have situations like this, there are consequences. A lot of people will take the itch. So before I go into that, I'll be explaining some important things you need to do, and what you should expect. Now, one basic thing that I've come to understand about Lagos real estate is that Lagos is a mega city and Lagos is well planned. You need to understand basically that if you have invested in Lagos or you are planning to invest in Lagos, there are three fundamental things you need to understand. Now, a lot of people have given different perception, a lot of people have given different opinions on what they think about Lagos. But the most important and the critical hub basically is that there is a plan for the development, whether it is long time or short-term development in Lagos. There is a plan. And that is why sometimes I've always said, if you have been following this channel, if you have been following me across all my social media, I've always said and I've always mentioned basically that if you are investing in Lagos, you need to understand that your investment must be in line with the plan. And this was some of the things that I made reference to when I was explaining the Lagos State Investment Blueprint, which is an episode that will be coming. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the disadvantages of the rail. So I know this is more or less like something that is very, very unusual. So I'm going to start with the disadvantages. Um, and a lot of people have said basically that the disadvantages, certainly come and turn on these lights, these sitting room lights. A lot of people have said the disadvantages, outweighs the advantages. So I'm here to talk about the disadvantage. Now, the disadvantage basically is that a lot of people. This one is dark. This place is dark. Open that lighting very well. Good. Turn it here. Put this one here. So the disadvantages outweighs the advantages. The disadvantages outweighs the advantages. Now, many of us saw the video. I think it was last week when they were talking about Ola of Lagos, and one of the reasons why I had to make a video basically is for us to have an accurate understanding that if we follow everything, this is awesome. If we follow everything that is being projected to us on the social media, we will be mistaken because we'll be taking the information based on people's sentiment. So probably there have been instances whereby people are very, very subjective whenever they are showing informations like this. Now, the number one advantage is basically is that properties that are within the setback will be demolished. So before people will start coming online, or before bloggers or every other interested people who are always their aim basically is to share false information, point a wrong narrative, thereby mislead people. Because of that rail, there will be demolitions. Now, I got a call from one investor in the US, and the man actually explained some things to me. I think he bought a property in the Oreki community of Ibejuleki, and the man saw my video. Good afternoon, Aim. Good afternoon, Raphael. Thanks for joining. So the man was asking a question basically that what is the setback for the right of way. So I'm going to be explaining that in the course of our conversation today. So the disadvantage is that for every properties that falls within the setback or that falls within the right of way will go. And that is why I've always said, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again, that if you are investing in Lagos, it is of utmost importance that you allow a professional to handle your real estate. See, Lagos is an exciting place, and at the same time, Lagos is a dedicated place to invest. So it is not always advisable for you to jump into any real estate investment in Lagos without understanding the setback rules or the setback regulations that governs the community. Now, a lot of people have asked me, does this rule applies everywhere? Yeah, you need to understand basically that if you are investing in Lagos, there is a master plan, and everybody is supposed to do their investment in accordance to the stipulated or required master plan that has been outlined for that. Now, any investment that violates the master plan will definitely attract severe punishment. So a lot of people are asking, why was Ola of Lagos car shop demolished? Of course, he also came out to say he also leased that car shop. So it was not his own. But why was that building demolished? It was a very simple scenario. It was under the power line. So I'm going to be giving a list of properties that will be affected as a result of this rail project and other projects that will be coming on. So I'm going to be giving this. Hello, Mr. KR, Mr. Chris from Russia. Thanks for joining. I'm very happy to have you guys around. Of course, despite the fact that this is actually coming after a short notice, I understand basically. I apologize. And by the special grace of God, we'll be having this also on Thursday by God's grace. So we'll be having it. So the day for our live session has been fixed for Tuesdays and Thursdays. So I'll be coming on to share a lot of it because I have a lot of videos that I also want to post, but I have a lot of information to share as well. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining us. Now, if so, I'm going to be explaining properties that will be that will be affected. The first thing, if you are investing in Lagos, more importantly, that a lot of people have reached out to me and they said they want to buy property. They heard okay, that the real is coming. Basically, I said I'll be sharing the disadvantage. The disadvantage basically is that, now pay attention. If you have your pen and paper, please take this information, very very important. So in case anybody is projecting or proposing a property to you, pay attention to some of these things that I'll be outlining. In case anybody is showing you a property, please pay attention to this. If the property falls within the following things I'll be outlining, basically run away from it. So I'm going to be explaining that. It's quite long, and I'll try as much as I can to be fast, and of course I'll be taking your questions as the session progresses. So in Lagos, according to the master plan, there are two major zones, okay, when you are investing in Lagos. That means that if you are buying properties in Lagos, there are three important questions you should know. The first thing you should pay attention to basically as an investor in Lagos, because you see, Lagos is a developing state. The only difference that Lagos has over every other state basically is that Lagos has a lot of attention. Lagos generates the highest gross domestic product to the nation's economy. So Lagos is a pivotal area for real estate investment, and that is why a lot of attention, government attention and other private sector attention is there. So if you are buying a properties, then the first thing you must understand is what we call the master plan for that region. Now, why is the master plan very very important? I've done a lot of videos explaining this master plan, but I will just quickly run through some of the most important things that you need to know about the master plan. Now, the master plan categorically explain or spelt out the zoning regulations. Now that means that real estate in Lagos are zoned, and you must understand that as you are investing in Lagos, you need to understand the zoning regulations. Okay, now the zoning regulations will tell you places that are committed acquisitions and places that are global acquisitions and places that are free from every form of acquisitions. So the zoning regulations help you to understand places, and this, like I said, this regulation is done in accordance to the master plan that is available for that area. So every area in Lagos has its own master plan. Furthermore, the master plan also helps you understand areas that are tagged as hot or red investment zone. Red investment zone basically talks about places that are no-go area. Now, the places basically are basically areas that government has to do a project. So if you are buying a property in Lagos, number one, you have to pay attention to what we call right of ways. Okay, right of ways are very important. So the first thing you want to pay attention to is the right of way. So I'm going to be telling you the following right of ways that are currently existing in the Lagos State Master Plan. It is very important to understand this. So because when they were doing the demolitions or the right of way encroachment for the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, a lot of property for this, and I was very marveled at which the people were misled and they were told things that were not right. A lot of people have said there were a lot of manipulations and the like, but we are not here to talk about that. So you want to look at the right of way. The first right of way that you must avoid, or any property that you must avoid, are properties that falls under the power line. Now, a demolition enforcement is currently going on in the FCT. Okay, now when I talk about this right of way is not only applicable in Lagos, it is applicable across the state. Okay, so I saw the video whereby a lot of people were fighting government, officials who came to enforce the zoning regulations for that areas, and there were people who built houses under the power line. And of course, if you must buy anything close to the power line, the required setback is 45 meters. away from the power line. So the reason why a lot of Lagos car lots was demolished basically was that his property or his car showroom was under the power line. So according to the regulations, you don't build under the power line, and if you must build, if that place is the area that you must build, then you must observe what we call a 45-meter right of way, 45 meters setback. Now the moment you have observed that setback, then you are free, okay, to build. And if there's any enforcement, it will not be, your property will not be affected. So if you are buying properties in Lagos and it is areas that is very close, or you have more power line, you must be wary of this, and you must ensure that whoever is selling is observing this right of way. And the right of way for the power line is 45 meters. I hope that is clear. I said today's episode is going to be an educative session, so take your pen. So the required setback or for the right of way for the power line is 45 meters. Then the next place is what we call the coastal line. The next right of way that we have under the Lagos master plan is what we call the coastal line setback. Now when we talk about the coastal line setback, it varies. So it is very important that you pay attention to this. So number 2 is the coastal line. Now for the coastal line setback, it varies. Like for instance, if you are doing anything that is very close to the lagoon, the right of way most times is always 50 meters as the setback. So whether it is lagoon front, ensure that your allocation is done immediately afterwards, 50 meters. Okay, it varies. That is for if you're buying a lagoon front water property. But if it's a sea, an ocean, presently it is also 50 meters. However, during the construction of the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, we discovered that a new setback was also established. So that is why. So if you are buying, okay, it is very important that you understand the area that is controlling the real estate in that area. When I talk about the area, I'm talking about the government parastatals. Now there are areas that there are some real estate, there are some properties that are under the jurisdiction of the federal government, and there are areas that are under the jurisdiction of the state government. And that's why I said it's a little bit sketchy, because you must understand this. And that's why I also said at the commencement of this video that it varies based on the required setback. Now for the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, I made a video. I don't know if you saw the video, but I'll be saying it again because I'm not tired of saying it. For the right of way for the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road is 150 meters away from the road. Any property or any land that is within that 150 meters, it is owned by the government. So if anybody is selling land to you in the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road and you are being allocated within the 150 meter setback, you don't even need a soothsayer to tell you that what you are buying is what is trouble. Please, I need water. You don't need a soothsayer to tell you that what you're buying is a trouble. So for the coastal line, for the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road, it is 150 meters. So you must understand the setback regulations, because the knowledge of this setback will enable you avoid stories that touches, hey, my property is being demolished. Because you see, whether we like it or not, anybody that does not conform or buy properties in accordance to this right of way, their properties will be demolished. So a lot of people have been saying Lagos is wicked, there is tribal sentiment. We need to understand that we are at the peak, okay, of the political tension of what is currently happening in Nigeria. So I'm not here to discuss politics. I'm not APC, I'm not PDP, I'm not Labour Party, neither am I ADC. I'm just a neutral person, someone who is interested in the growth of the country. So if you are buying in the coastal line, kindly ensure that you are observing this right of way. Now you also need to another right of way that you must be mindful of if you are buying real estate in Lagos is the rail line. Of course, what is about to happen from Marina to across the Ekpe Expressway is what we call the right of way. So a lot of properties, okay, that falls within the rail line right of way will also be demolished. Now presently the standard setback on the right is 90 meters. 90 meters from the newly constructed Lekki Epe Expressway, and to the left it is 30 meters after the pipeline. Yes, of course, we also have pipeline as setback. So you must also be mindful that you are not buying a property that falls within or outside the pipeline. You must also ensure that you also pay attention to this right of way. So these things are very, very important. So if you are investing in Lagos, please pay attention to this. Okay, now the next right of way that you also look out for is what? The drainage channels. Okay, now one of the reasons, there's a demolition that recently happened in the oral estate, and I, of course, I knew that the demolition was going to come, and the reason for that basically is due to the fact that when the flooding that happened in Lekki happened, a lot of people called for the head of Lagos state government, and I knew government were going to react to that. And one of the reasons why that flooding happened were like a lot of houses were built on drainage channels. So what is the setback for drainage? The setback from drainage is 30 meters away from that drainage channels. Okay, so if you are buying any property that is facing the drainage, you must understand that of course we have two major drainage. We have major drainage channels and we have minor drainage channels. Okay, the minor drainage channels are just like drainage channels that is being used, so you get to see some of them in some areas of Abuja GRA. So those ones are minor drainage. So basically government, but the major ones are what we have in the Ikota River. We also have it in Agungi, we also have it in Osapa. So if for major drainage channels, the standard setback is 30 meters away from the canal. It is very important to use it. So the next road expansion right of way that will also be enforced is what we call the road expansion. And of course, I think I gave instance of that. So you also need to understand. So it varies too. Like in the Epe Ijebu axis is 1.5 meters away from the road. Okay, thank you, Mr. Flo. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. So it is from the Epe Ijebu, the standard is 1.5 meters away from the main express. Now, the reason why all this right of way, now a lot of people don't get to know this basically because it's due to the fact that most of the people, okay, that are doing property development in Lagos are not, many of them, I'm sorry to say this, I've had several interactions with a majority of them, and I can categorically tell you that many of them don't even know that the master plan exists. So because these are part of the problem, and that's one of the reasons why I have always said, repeatedly, that if you're buying properties, if you're doing anything in Lagos, it is of its utmost importance that you get a professional to handle this. Now, how can you now know these right of ways? How can you determine them, and how can you enforce them? Because you see, I said that today's episode, I'm going to start with the disadvantage. Now, the disadvantage is that any property that violates any of these right of ways that I've listed will go. It will. It will. Because you see, the moment you have violated this power line, you have violated the coastal line, you have violated the rail line, you have violated the drainage channels and other things, that means you have automatically infringed or encroached on the master plan. And in some situations like that, it will attract demolition. So these are some of the things that we need to understand and that we need to talk about. I hope that is clear. So one of the ways you can ensure this basically is going forward, if you're buying properties in Lagos. See, I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. As far as it is Lagos, as far as the regulations are of utmost importance, there are some properties or there are some areas that you want to invest in Lagos that you cannot compromise on the professionalism and the experience and the expertise of the person handling your transaction. I've said it before. Now, most of these things are things that are mostly overlooked. And the moment you overlook some of these things, it comes with, how do I explain this now? It comes with with severe consequences. Because I have come to understand, I've come to realize that most of the people that are making recommendations, that's why a lot of people have reached out. I like this project. I like this project. Okay, fine. Before we go further, this is the report for that location. A lot of people have been wondering, how come we have detailed reports? How come we can tell you what is coming to this region, what is coming to this region? How come we can tell you the present situation of the drainage of the water situation whenever it rains? How come we can tell you the current title documentation? How come we can tell you the land history, if that area is notorious for land grabbing? Because you see, I pay attention to details a lot. I've been doing real estate in Lagos, and I can tell you basically how a land investment or a real estate investment can go wrong. So it's of utmost importance that if you must buy, there are some areas you don't compromise on the expertise of the person handling your transaction. That's one of the most important things that you need to understand going forward as you are investing in Lagos. So the sad news here is that any investment, whether it is past real estate investment or present real estate investments, the government will not bend their regulations to favor anybody. That is why we must hire the right person to do our due diligence. When it comes to due diligence, it's not something you can compromise. It's not. I've said it before. Because you see, the saddest thing basically is that you can erect a structure. The moment a regulation has been violated, government will not, we have an administration that they are not moved by public opinion. They are not. They will tell you, you cannot use illegality to justify legality. If it is bad, it is bad. If it is wrong, because you see, if it affects one, it will certainly affect all. So that is it. So any property, whether it is in VI, whether it is in Ikoyi, whether it is in Lekki, whether it is in Ajah, Sangotedo, blah blah blah. Because you see, the real project has been approved. It's a $3 billion construction, and it's starting December 2025. And I can assure you that this current administration will want to do it to an extent whereby the next person coming in will just finalize it. In fact, I can guarantee you that before the expiration of the administration of His Excellency Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, he will want to commission some section of the rail before the expiration of his term as the governor So this obviously indicates that there will be strict regulations of this project. So it is very important to do this. Now let's now talk about, still discussing disadvantages. Another thing basically is that once the construction starts, people who belongs to the middle class, in Nigeria, we have the wealthy, we have the rich, we have the middle class, we have this probably those who fall within the middle class, and we have the poor. The urbanization of Lagos is a fantastic thing. More importantly, if you own properties in Lagos. However, it will become a disaster if you don't own the property of your own. Now, the disaster will get to a point basically that if all your entire livelihood is in Lagos and you want to stay in Lagos with this present rail construction, I can assure you this project will certainly increases the standard of living. Those who will be able to stay in Lagos are people who earn $1 million or above as from 2027, 2028, 2029. If you don't earn If you don't have a good source of income, because your landlord will just wake up and tell you the house you are paying 2 million because of the real, I'm increasing it to 5 million. One a terrible thing about the Lagos real estate is that there is no price regulation. So the government cannot just wake up and say, landlord, this is how much. You know, a lot of people have been having a lot of discussions concerning this. It's not your own, it's not your own. So my advice to anybody watching this video, my advice basically is that start owning something. See, this is not the case whether I'm in diaspora, I don't have any reason to come to Lagos. See, when they are done with this project, you know that nostalgic feeling, that feeling of I want to see what is happening in my country will bring you down to Lagos. Now, it should not be a case of for you to stay and enjoy your holiday. Is that you pay what the current market demands or you go to cheaper alternatives. The consequences here now basically is that cheaper alternatives may be Ibadan, cheaper alternative may be Mowe, cheaper alternative may be Ijebu. That is the reality of what is going on. And that is why I've always told, see, the reality of the Lagos real estate market basically is that buy when you have the capacity to. Because the irony of everything is that the longer you wait, the more it begins to slip away from your hands. An opportunity, they say, cannot be replicated. So what is happening basically is that a lot of people will be forced out of Lagos because of what? As infrastructure. Now you can see that the Lagos Calabar Coastal Road has gone far. This Lagos rail now, once it starts, it will also go far. And coupled with the fact, if you have been to the Lagos mainland, you would have seen the Ikeja link bridge that is connecting Marina to other parts. Connecting Marina, connecting Ojota, Maryland to Ikeja. Because of that link bridge, the prices of properties in the Maryland axis has also gone up. Now, what is happening right now in this project that is about to commence is that the prices also go up. My dear brothers and sisters, even if you cannot afford to pay once, look for a reputable off-plan project and start investing. That's my advice. That is if you still want to have a place, you even in the diaspora, because you see, they say a short let is 100K is a small money, I can pay that. I can assure you that once a landlord knows that the distance between Marina to his house is just like 2 or 5 minutes train, if he's renting for 100,000, the rest assured is increasing it to 250,000, and that increment does not have a regulation, it keeps going up. So one of the ways you can safeguard is start investing in available and reliable off plans. Look at areas. Now, the area where they now say Ibejuleki is far, that area has gone, because in less than, let's say, 25-30 minutes from Marina, you are in Ibejuleki. That obviously now shows basically that nowhere is far, because that train will bring interconnectivity. So if you don't want to go back to your village in 2030, in 2035, start owning, even if it's 1 bedroom, even if it's 2 bedroom. The most important thing is have a place you can call your home, because once that infrastructural expansion starts, the cheapest 2 bedroom in Abraham Adesoya, the cheapest 2 bedroom in Abraham Adesoya will be 100 million. It's gradually getting to that extent. So, my dear investors, my dear viewers, the Lagos you once knew is being rapidly developing even beyond your understanding. Is rapidly so that is the disadvantage. Now, what is the advantage? Now, Lagos is now going to become a place of spotlight for real estate. Now, there are a lot of Chinese in Beachwood estates. Beachwood is in Ibejuleki. We have some of them in Choice. We have some of them in Terranex. A lot of Russians are in Terranex. Now, what is happening basically is that I have observed that there've been a lot of influx of foreign foreigners. Now, I used to do um, exercise like road walk every Saturday morning in my area, and I realized that even Indians, Russians are there. Now, a lot of people are asking, but they say there's insecurity. Truthfully, there is insecurity. I'm not here to describe that, but you see, what is being portrayed on social media most times are not what the reality of what is happening. I'm not saying that there is no insecurity. Please don't misquote me. What I'm trying to say is that there are some areas that government cannot allow insecurity to thrive, and one of those areas is Lagos. And the reason why insecurity, because if the moment insecurity thrives in Lagos, the investment of the likes of Dangote is at risk, the investment of Hotel is at risk, the investment of top politicians. So I'm not trying to say insecurity is being sponsored. What I'm trying to say basically is that government understand how if they allow insecurity to thrive in Lagos, then Nigeria will be gone. So what I'm trying to say in essence basically is that some places are safer than the rest. So as an investor, focus on those areas and start exploring. You can go for shortlets, you can go for off plan, you can go for completed units. My advice to you, own something before the I can assure you, I honestly don't know of the duration of this construction, but what I can guarantee you that before the expiration of His Excellency Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, even if it's just the first phase, I can assure you they will commission it before its tenure expires. And that is why Lagos is always at the forefront of real estate investment. So that is what you should understand. So I've explained what could put your investment in trouble. I've explained the right of ways, and I've explained some other things. Now, I I'm going to open the poll for question and answer. It's even open. So if you have questions, if you have answers, okay, I said I'll be the one to provide the answer anyway. If you have questions, you can send it here. Let's have an interactive, intellectual interaction today. Um, let's talk about this. So you can drop your questions on the comment section. Then, if you also want to send your question directly to me on WhatsApp, I'm going to post my WhatsApp number here. It is +234. The +234 is for anybody. Maybe you're in the diaspora and you want to send a question. Yes, it's +234 802 +234 802 132 +234 802 132 7360. I'll take it again. +234 802 132 7360. That's my number. It's also available on WhatsApp. You can send me a message. If your message comes even at towards the end, I would also respond to that by the special grace of God, and we'll have the more interactive session. But let me just quickly take down some questions, and this we'll be talking about that. So on Thursday, I'll be talking about understanding property document in Lagos. That topic is way long overdue. We also have had interactions and conversations concerning that, but like I said, it's long overdue. By the special grace of God, on Thursday, we're going to look at that, and then we'll adequately see how we can respond to that very quickly. So we'll take the questions. So the first question basically is, um, so how can I ascertain the setbacks? Okay, basically, um, the reason why many people lost their first investments in Lagos basically is due to the fact that a lot of people did not prioritize due diligence, and it's not their fault anyway. I would say that the knowledge of how the Lagos state real estate market works, okay, were not known to many people, and many people actually learned the hard way, because you see, people got to know the situation of Lagos investment as a result of terrible experiences they have, and that is why I'm saying it does not, it doesn't need to happen to you. Okay, and that is why it is very important that you prioritize um, due diligence. Okay, so um, okay, okay, I'll be talking briefly about the types of due diligence you can do. I think I have a video, one of my old videos, when I was talking about that. So I'll just quickly look at that very quickly. Okay. So let's talk about the types of due diligence. There are several. There are several. The first type of due diligence you want to do is what we call the title search. Now, the title search basically has to do with verification of the title. Now, basically, if someone tells you a land has a C of O or a land has a governor's consent, now when you embark on a title search at the Ministry of Lands, it further confirms the title, okay, and it tells you if the title is what verified, if the title is genuine or not. The second search you also want to do is what we call the litigation check. Now, the litigation check, a property can have a C of O and may have court judgments or legal crises and disputes, or the case may be in court. Now, when you collect the survey of a document and the lawyer runs through, the lawyer also helps you to know, okay, if there are litigations on it. So we also call it probate check. Now, the probate check will now go further to enable you to understand if that title document has also been used in as a collateral for collecting loans. Sure, you understand. So that is what our lawyer does when we are doing our own due diligence. They do a probate check. After doing the title check, they do a litigation check. They do a probate check. So the probate check help us to understand if the owner of that title has used it for litigation, for collateral. Because if you have a title property like, let's say, a C of O or a governor's consent, you can use it to obtain loan. A lot of people use their property to obtain loan to do a lot of things, and some wicked people will now sell a property that they've used to collect loan. They'll sell it to you, and it is when there is now a problem, or maybe the person that owns the property was unable to repay the loan, then you start facing issues from banks, or where the owner have collected it. So you will also do what we call a probate check. Then the next thing we also do is the environmental due diligence. The environmental due diligence help us to understand the security of that area. When we talk about security, is it a land that has had several land grabbing issues? Now, this basically is one of the most how do I put this now? This is one of the most difficult due diligence, okay, and it involves a lot of money. And if you have done the probate check and you've done the environmental check, you'll be able to ascertain if that areas is prone to land grabbers, the situation of the place, other environmental due diligence. You'll also ascertain, okay, if that area too is a flood prone area, and you begin to understand some of these things. So these are some out of the several due diligence that you can do. Please excuse me. Fún ló jẹ́ là pé bí ń pa ṣọgbọ́n. So I apologize for that. So these are some of the due diligence that you need to emphasize on if you are investing in properties. Now, a lot of people have said, I'm in diaspora. This is why we're here. Okay, we can help you run those due diligence. We can help you check, confirm all these things while you just you help us with the information that you have gotten. Then we'll run it for you. But sometimes I don't run it. I only run it for people that are only interested in buying properties through our own agency. So it's not a charity. And the reason why it's so basically is that the cost of due diligence is very, very important. It's very, very expensive. Like for instance, now if I must to hire a surveyor to pick coordinates and do work for us a day, it used to be 50,000. I'm talking to right now. is close between 50 to 70,000, and you still have to get your lawyers to do the probate and the like. So it's very, very expensive. So we don't it can't be done for free. Okay, and I'm not saying I'll do it for you. It's only available if you are ready to buy property through our agencies, and these are some of the things we do. So these are some of the due diligence that you should do if you are buying properties in Lagos. Now, the knowledge of this, okay, will help enable you to understand how the Lagos real estate market works. Okay, I think I've actually used one question to address another topic. Okay, so let's have more questions. So I'll also be responding to some of the questions that I also got in the course of this conversation. Please, if you have questions, please you can drop it on the comment section. You can also send it to me directly. My number is +234 802 132 7360. I'm going to take the number again: +234 802 132 7360. That is the number to call. Of course, did I say call? You can send your inquiry. That number is on WhatsApp. You can send your inquiries, and if you don't want to put it on the comment section, you can send your inquiry, and let's have this conversation. Okay, so while we don't have questions, I will be I'll quickly respond to some of the important things I want to discuss as we round off this session. So by the special grace of God, we're going to be doing this on Thursday. Today is Tuesday, and on Thursday I'm going to be talking about important um, questions, important legal clauses you must understand if you're buying properties in Lagos. So there are some clauses that are mostly embedded on the contract of sale, that is also embedded on the deed of assignment. I'm also going to be explaining that. So I'll be doing that in collaboration with land titles, important land titles you need to know. It's going to become, by the special grace of God, it's going to become an elaborative class. You're going to learn a lot. Okay, that one is assured. And of course, if you want to buy property or you want to do any investment, whether it's on the mainland, it's on the island, is in Abuja, is in Port Harcourt, anywhere across the states, we can help you do that. Basically that we will definitely not compromise on due diligence. If it's not good, it is not good. We won't recommend it. So that's what we do. So I want to quickly say a very big thank you to everybody that have joined this live session. Okay, questions are coming in. So this person says, is there an official confirmation from government that the right of way for the coastal road is 150? Yes, the Surveyor General of the Federation made a public statement saying that the setback for the Lagos Calabar coastal road is 150 meters. That's the appropriate setback as stipulated by government. So you can also confirm that. I hope that has answered your question. Okay, so if there's any other thing, please do let us know. All right, so I also have a question. So this one says, I have a property um, along the Lekki Epe Expressway in the said Oreki community. Um, how can I be so sure my property is still under is safe? Well, in that kind of scenario, I obviously cannot affirm. I don't know where the property is. I don't know where you bought from. And Oreki is a very big community in Ibejuleki. So I'll just advise basically that you should speak with your agents. If you have bought from a community, you should get in touch with the leaders of the community, the ballets, the traditional rulers. They will be in a better position to explain what could be the present state of the property. So I cannot say whether it's safe or not. That does not answer. But the only thing I just know basically is that there are lots of court cases, okay, in some areas in Oreki. Some of our recent due diligence exposed, some information to us, and that's why we said we are privy to some of these important information, and we would be in a better position to explain it to you. So I want to say a very big thank you to everybody that joined to this live session. I don't take your presence for granted. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. By the special grace of God, let's do this on Thursday by God's grace. Bye for now. God bless you.